Hi guys, today we're going to be going over how to pluck and cut the lace on your wig. Alright, so we're going to start by going in and we're going to be plucking the part of this wig. So what I like to do when I pluck my part of the wig, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to follow the wig part back until I get to the lace, just to make sure that they have parted it all the way to back to the lace, which they have here. So it comes all the way back. I'm going to want to widen this part a little bit to make it just look more natural and to almost kind of make it a little bit more uneven and not such a perfectly straight line. So I'm gonna go in, and the first thing I like to do, and a lot of this has to do with the way that your natural hairline kind of is and what you're used to, but my hair, if you look here, and this kind of wig already kind of naturally does this, but there's almost like this triangle effect happening here, and it's where you have the least amount of hair right here, and then it comes up into your part. And I'm literally gonna I'm taking away most of all the hair that's right here in this front, and then I'm just going in and I'm just making a little bit more of a predominant triangle. All right, so once you've got that triangle, that if you want to do this step, you can. And then I'm just gonna start going back into this part here. And you want to take your tweezers and you want them to be flush up against the lace. Don't point this tip down, because then you're going to potentially kind of poke a hole in the lace. So you just want to take this flat edge and you just want to slowly go through, and you're just plucking a couple hairs at a time. Like, I'm not saying I'm taking one hair at a time, but it's maybe 2 or 3. And I'm just going back here, and then I'm going to go ahead, since I want to make this part a little bit wider, I'm going to just part some of this hair here. Right here. And I'm not gonna pluck all this hair because it's a lot of hair to take off. But once I do this, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna kind of take my tweezers again, and I'm gonna go in every couple hairs and pluck. And this is gonna thin this line out a little bit without making it like such a drastic, totally empty area of the scalp, but it's just going to make it fade into the hair a little bit more. So your part is gonna fade into your hair more, and you're gonna see it. We're gonna take a brush and brush it out, and you're gonna see a little more, and I'm just gonna take it over. On the other side, I'm gonna do the same exact thing. I'm gonna part. You can use a comb for this, or you can use the tweezers like I'm doing. You can use whatever you feel more comfortable with. This is a little bit too much hair. So now we have this, and we're gonna do the same thing here. And we're just gonna pluck couple of the hairs here, and then we're just gonna go, and then I just like take my tweezers back in and just kind of clean this up a little bit more. And like I said, like, I like to have a really predominantly wide part. I think that it really does make a wig look a lot more natural. And as you guys can see too, I don't know if it's kind of hard for you to see, but it does start to get more narrow as it goes back. Your natural hair will do that too, but I tend to always find that they don't ever bring it back. So I'll go in and make just that back area wider too. Since I'm widening this front spot, I think it makes it more noticeable too. And it just makes it look more natural. You'd be surprised, like, you don't think about someone's part line until you put on a wig before you pluck it, and you put it on after, when you're like, wow, that made such a huge difference. All right, now we're just gonna take a brush and just brush out all the hair that we just plucked, so that you're not putting this wig on and having all this like flyaway hair all over your clothes. So this is the finished end result, and we didn't take a ton of hair, like I can show you, but it's a decent amount, and it's enough to make a difference, a subtle difference, but a good difference. Like I said, the next step that you would normally do here is you would go in, if you wanted to, and you would pluck the hairline of the wig. Now, if you look at this hairline on this wig, I'm super impressed by the hairline on this wig. I don't really feel like it needs any plucking. I'm just gonna show you, like mock show you, because I'm not gonna actually pluck her, but I would show you what you would do. You can either hold your hand here and hold the lace down, or you can get some type of push pins and you can push them in here too as well. I'm just gonna hold it here. And then I'm going to take tweezers, and to thin out the hairline, you want to do kind of the same concept we did when we pulled out that layer of hair. You want to pluck kind of every other, and you want to go in and every kind of other. You don't want to take all the hair, and you just want to start here, and you want to come back a little bit so that you're blending in as you go. So you would be plucking right here and get all this area, then go back and just kind of go like this and pluck hairs that way. And then that's gonna help kind of thin it out and bring it together so that it blends in well and you don't have just like line of no hair. So once you go do that, which you can do all the way around on both sides if you want, like I said, pre-plucked hairlines, if you can stick with those kind of wigs, that's kind of where it's at. Like this wig has a really good hairline. Like I'm pleasantly surprised with that one. So the next thing that we're gonna go into is cutting the lace on a wig. So cutting the lace on your wig is literally what it sounds like. It's a lace front wig. It has this lace on it. This is how they make the wig. It comes all the way around to where the like ear flap is. We're gonna be cutting all of this lace off. That sounds scary, but it's not. You need scissors for this. If you're a little nervous and you're starting out with this, use small scissors. That way you have more precision in where you're cutting. You wanna start down here. I usually pull back or pin back the hair so it's out of my way because I don't wanna accidentally cut a chunk of hair off. You wanna get here at the bottom. This is where the lace starts and this is where you're gonna cut off of. I will say, I recommend if you are someone who wants to glue their wig down or thinking about gluing your wig down, you wanna leave a little bit of extra lace around where your ear would go, just because that tends to, like sideburn ear area, because that tends to be the place where it lifts the most and you want a little bit extra lace so that you can really get the glue on there. So I always leave a little bit more lace down here in this area than I would up here where you're gonna start to see the hairline. Just so you know, so you're not wondering why like I'm leaving a little bit more lace off down here. There's a reason. All right, so when you're cutting this, you're gonna hold this tight so that you can really see where the hairline is. Now, my recommendation to you with cutting this is you do not want this to be in a straight line. You really wanna follow the hairline, and if the hairline seems pretty straight to you, you wanna kind of cut that. So we're gonna hold this tight here so that we can see where the hairline is. We're gonna start at the bottom where this lace starts, and we're going to cut it off where that hairline is. And then we're gonna stop right here in the middle and we're gonna go and do the same thing on the other side. So then the last thing you just wanna do is just take your brush her through, just make sure in case you did cut any hairs or anything like that, you get those little hairs off. And then, bam, this is my sister Elizabeth. Once you've done these steps, there are a couple other things you can do to make your wig look even more natural than it already does. So one of those things, especially with blonde wigs, is I a lot of times like to darken up this root a little bit. So if you notice with this one I'm wearing, she's got a pretty dark brown root here. This one's a lighter blondish, dirty blonde root to a platinum blonde, and I just wanted to darken this up just a little bit more. Okay, so this right here is a brunette dry shampoo spray, so it's safe for synthetic wigs and it'll darken up the roots. The other option is eyebrow powder and a brush. And so you're just gonna take a little bit of this here and we're just gonna, right there on that part where we were before, we're just gonna take that and we're gonna brush that onto her. And I just kinda like to pat the product on. I'm not being super neat about it because again, like when these root grow outs, when they do these, when you get them professionally done, they aren't even. And then I'm gonna just take my finger here and I'm just gonna blend this out a little bit so it's not so crazy. Maybe take a brush to it just to kind of brush it out. And then that's just gonna darken those roots up, and it's also gonna hide the knots a little bit more on this part. So you aren't seeing those knots as much now because you also kind of got some of that there. The other thing that I like to do is I also like to take some concealer. Any concealer is fine. You want it to be as close to like your natural skin tone as you can find, but so this one here is pretty good. And I'm gonna literally flip her inside out and you can kind of see where her part is because we did that brown powder here, which is nice because it gives you kind of a guide. And we're gonna take this concealer and we're gonna take a couple dabs of this. A little bit goes a long way, you don't need a lot. And we're gonna go like this here. Dab, dab, dab. You wanna make sure you don't get chunks like this because I'll show you what happens when you get that. I just wanna slowly brush it on here, connect it, make it align. So now the thing that happens, and we're gonna smooth this out some more, but the thing that happens if you do see how we had that blob there, if you look, now we have a blob of concealer here. So you can fix that, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. So you wanna take your one hand here, have it underneath your part. You're gonna pinch the part in between your hands here. And we're just gonna kind of literally rub a little bit. And we're just blending that concealer into the top and bottom so that you don't see a chunk of concealer. And it also just blends it to just hide those roots without people like looking at me like, do you have makeup on your hair? So once you've done all that, the last thing that I would do with my wig, especially this one in particular because of the style that it is I'm just gonna go and take a hot comb like this here. And this works really great if you have a bump up here, or like with this wig, it's curled under a little bit more than I like. So I'm gonna be straightening that curl out a little bit, but these work really well for synthetic wigs because they don't get too hot. You can control the temperature, and it doesn't really have a whole lot of pulling tension, which is nice. So you're not gonna be breaking the hairs here. And you just wanna make sure before you do this, obviously, make sure that the wig you're doing this on, especially if it's a synthetic wig, is heat safe. This wig is, because you don't want to ruin your wig. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just straightening that curl under out a little bit, which is what I've done with this other one that I have already. So I already know that's kind of how I want it. Okay, so now she's just a little bit more of like a straight bob. She still has a little bit of that curl in her. So there she is. So she is good to go. So I'm gonna throw her on for you guys just so you guys can see the final product of what she looks like. All right, so this is it. This is the final product, the final look. As you can see, this is the part right here, the hairline. Looks pretty good. I don't have her glued down or anything. If I glued her down, it would make an even bigger difference on the lace and everything, being able to see that. And you can pull her half up, and she's got a really, really good hairline. Like, look at this. This is impressive on its own. And I just made this part just look a little bit more like apart. So that's it. I love her. Again, this was Elizabeth, which is the sister to the one I had on. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Make sure you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't subscribed already. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you get notifications for any videos I do in the future. I hope that this was helpful for you guys, and thanks for watching.